Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's webinar on implementing 24/7 online support, assistance and training with ClickLearn. So my name's James Hall and I have my colleague Jonathan Small with me today.
Hello, everybody.
And yeah, we are coming to you live from QGate's headquarters based on the south coast of England. Just to give you a quick background about who QGate are. So QGate are a Microsoft partner who have over 20 years experience implementing CRM with a wide range of businesses, predominantly on and around the south coast of the UK. We are also an ISV and have created our own enhancement products for specifically Dynamics 365 and some other CRM solutions. And yeah, we've worked with a wide range of businesses, and the reason that I'm telling you this today is it really comes down to what we're going to discuss today. Is going to be based on a lot of our experiences and effectively kind of a case study about our experiences of implementing online support, assistance and training, and discuss some of the challenges we've had and what we've done since, and really sharing that story with you guys to hopefully bring you value where you can help and move forward, really. So just going to start off the presentation with today's agenda. So firstly, we're going to discuss the challenges faced with implementing online support, the challenges faced with support and assistance and onboarding and training as a whole. Hopefully get a couple of examples from you guys as well. We're then going to discuss the solution that we have come across, and we're going to discuss in a bit more detail and give you a demonstration on why it's worked so well for us, and then to give you something to leave the session with, and hopefully go back to your colleagues within your workplace or your clients, whoever they may be, and ultimately give you some next steps on what you can take away from this webinar to hopefully improve the workplaces that you can have an effect on. Before we do that, we just want to start with a quick kind of belief statement around the topic today. And ultimately, we believe that well-supported and well-trained employees will deliver the expected return on investment on new systems faster. I think this ultimately as a statement makes sense, right? But I think if we look a little bit more in detail around this statement, there's a bit more to it, because there's a lot of solutions and applications within the world today which may have the ability to revolutionize workforces, the way in which we live our lives, but ultimately a lot of these solutions and applications are sometimes being abandoned, and they're being abandoned not for any fault of the application or solution itself, but due to the level and the deployment of the support, assistance and onboarding of those application solutions as well. And it's not ultimately the user's fault, it's not ultimately the application's fault, it's just a kind of a grey area which isn't being covered well enough, and we believe there is a solution to this, really, and that's what we're going to discuss today. And as mentioned, we're going to start with some of the challenges that are faced predominantly with support and assistance. So if there's any which you have come across in your experience, challenges which you face with traditional support and assistance up until this point, please feel free to add them into the question window now, and we'll look to try and make this as interactive session as possible. We're just going to, whilst you do that, we're just going to discuss a couple of the challenges which we've faced within our experience. And here they are. So predominantly, user frustration, as mentioned, not having that information available, and that knowledge is not shared to these users, and then not being able to access it really nicely and easily. On the other side of the fence, certain support teams could be repeating themselves over and over again for what could be ultimately a user error situation. And then there's those reliance on these specialists who, if for worst case scenario they were to leave the organization or be on leave, we're then waiting for either a replacement, or we're waiting for them to come back on leave, basically left on hold until we get the answer. And for anyone who's worked in multi-locations, either nationally or internationally, with different languages, to try and get that consistency of message across the board, across different locations, different languages, internationally, it's a huge challenge for organizations and companies. And for those of you who have tried to ever implement 24/7 support and assistance, you'll know that it's definitely expensive to cover. Okay, so as mentioned, if you have any more kind of support and assistance challenges as your examples, please do let us know what they are.
So when you think about onboarding and training, it doesn't get any easier. If you're creating resources, it may take you hours, days, if not weeks to get things together to a point where you can deliver it to your users. And this is a very labor-intensive way of doing things. And if you think about the old-fashioned way of creating documentation, whereby you might do screenshots, have to transfer them into Word or PowerPoint, add marks to those screenshots, and then add text as well, it gets very, very time-consuming. And this can delay then passing that information out to people. So if you're bringing in a new system, it may mean that the training is delayed or may take a long period of time to get things right. And you can always guarantee that someone's going to be away sick or someone's going to be on leave when you want that training to take place. So it doesn't always get to everyone. This can lead to a lack of consistency as well with that training, and often something called, we would like to term Chinese whisper training, where you have people passing on knowledge which isn't perhaps completely accurate, or you might have manuals and processes on paper which are out of date but still being used by certain individuals. Again, if you are working within an office, it's hard to deliver that training even within one environment. If you're multi-national and across the country and lots of different offices, or even across the globe, it gets that much more hard still. And you often will struggle to be able to deliver training in a consistent way to everybody within your business. Also, there's the expense. When you're talking about such large scales, trying to get trainers out is not just expensive in terms of the training itself, but it's expensive in terms of people's time, taking them away from their business, and all of these things combined, it can lead to a lack of user engagement, and that's at the core of what we would like to think that we're trying to avoid with the way we are taking these things forward.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think we've started and we've ended really with the main point there, which has the biggest effect, and that is with regards to the user frustration and the lack of user engagement, and those key crucial adoption rates from when you onboard, train, support, and assist. And that's really, the main challenge which we're looking to solve today. So we've discussed all of these challenges which we faced, and ultimately, what are we going to do about these challenges? So we've done quite a bit of extensive research, really, and we've got a lot of experience within this space. And we know what the solution is, really. That's worked amazingly well for us, and that's ClickLearn. So just quickly before we go on a bit more, if anyone has heard of ClickLearn, knows anything about the platform itself, please do. Let us know your thoughts, what you know already, which will hopefully help with the demonstration and let us touch on certain points. But for those of you who don't know what ClickLearn is it's a digital studio, and it captures complicated work processes in popular business software. So with just a click, you can produce multi-format learning materials in any language and publish to a 24/7 learning portal. So without further ado, what we're going to do is jump straight into a demonstration where we will be covering the following areas on the graphic here. And I'm going to hand over to Jonathan, who will be doing the majority of this demonstration.
Right, thank you very much, James. And just to start off with, we're going to be demonstrating today in Dynamics 365 for customer engagement. Just to make it really, really sort of clear, though, this is only one place you can use this software and this great asset to your training and your onboarding and support at sort of progression. It does work really well within other Windows applications, web applications, other systems, within finance systems like Business Central, and we have examples that we've created and used within lots of other areas as well, even things like Office 365 and throughout those applications. But as I say, for today, we're going to have a look at Dynamics 365. And to start with, we are going to look at the full portal and all the resources that are held within it. And before I get on to that, it's very good to remember that everything you're about to see comes from one process of production, and it's producing a multi-formatted end product, which gives you lots of options in terms of your delivery and your training and your support. So here we go within Dynamics. We've got our help function here, and within this instance, this help function links directly into our ClickLearn portal. So here we have our top level of our portal. Each of these icons is what's referred to as a book, and the top level itself is referred to as a shelf. And each book contains a series of grouped processes which all sort of fit together. And you can organize that however you like in order to best make sense for your business. At the top here, we've got a search function. And if we type in a keyword search, you get a lot of references to anywhere that appears within your search and within the portal. And then down the bottom as well here, we have a full contents as well, and we can click onto any of these to take us directly to that content. So let's just come back out of there. And let's have a little bit of an explore around some of these resources. So if I go into one of these books, you can then see that we've got a set of resources. And if I click into our help with accounts here, it takes us to a web page. And the first thing you'll see on this web page is a nice introduction. And you can add as much contextual information as you like to these. If you want to have a lot of background information about the process and why a user might have to do the process, you can add that in there, so it's not just basically step-by-step instructions. You can have it as clear and simple as step-by-step instructions, so you've got that flexibility. As we scroll down the page, you can see here that we can put in our titles and subtitles and break it up. And we have our bullet points and our text. And then we've got these wonderful screenshots, which are cropped down to the perfect sizes with the highlights already embedded into them. And as we go down the page, you can see that it's a very clear, very simple process, taking you through step by step with the additional information that any user will need in order to get the best out of this learning. As we get down to the bottom of the page, we also have a feedback section, and this is really useful, not just for feedback in terms of the resource itself, but in terms of the business process. So if you want your users giving you continual feedback about how the process works and perhaps giving you ideas for improvement, you've got that option there as well. So this can really work well for your business. Okay, so on the right hand side here, we have additional resources. So you get to your web page, you've also got these other resources as well. So let's start with our PDF. And this is basically taking those steps and processes and turning them into a document for you. You can add in graphics, you can add in data about the authoring, which we've got here, and this can automatically be pulled through. And you can also put in things like your logos and your design to make it really sort of resonate with your business. And again, we've got our processes, our screenshots, and our text all wonderfully lined up. The Word document, similarly to the PDF document, has all that information within it. But we've also then got a PowerPoint document. So if we just have a little look at that as well, because there may be instances where you still need to deliver on-site or face-to-face training. And in fact, what we get with ClickLearn is all of those resources already created and ready for you. Okay, so at the top here, we've got another set of resources. So for those people who like to watch and listen to information rather than read it, it's really catering to that multitude of learning styles. And what we're going to do first off is have a little look at the Show Me video that's created in line with the process.
Overview. Much of the information a business will collect on its customers is stored in account records. Accounts often have several contacts linked to them, particularly if the account is with a large company that has many departments within it. Creating a new account in Dynamics is a basic process that allows you to record the initial details of a prospective client, then add to them over time. When creating and naming accounts, it may be useful to use a naming convention that allows for easy searching. This module will teach you how to create new accounts in Microsoft Dynamics 365. Creating a new account. Navigating to accounts. Start by selecting the Change Area button. Click on Sales. In the Sales area, click on the Accounts button under the Customers heading. Next, click on the New button.
So what you're hearing here is one of over 100 digital voices available through ClickLearn. And the real beauty of this is that when you create videos in a traditional manner, quite often the person who does the recording isn't necessarily the person you want to do the voiceover. Again, this can add to those delays when creating and producing materials. So this gets over that problem by having this digital voice. And these voices are available in also a multitude of different languages. And ClickLearn caters for 45 different languages as well, with its over 100 voices. The other thing you'll notice is that on the screen, our mouse pointer, unlike my mouse pointer, which moves around as I move it, goes straight point to point. And again, this is a really good feature because it means you lose all of that wasted time and sort of distraction of having the mouse pointer going from place to place, not quite in a direct line. And the reason that this works really well in this video is because it's created from a series of screenshots. And we'll have a little look a little bit later at the recording process and how that works. Okay, so let's just have another little look at one of the others. Let's choose this one here. And let's then look at a Try Me video. So the Try Me video is slightly different. So again, once you get into the video,
start by clicking on the Home button.
And this time, the video won't progress until you click in the right place. And what it does is it highlights where you need to click. And so you get that learning by doing when a user actually goes through the Try Me video. So I click on the place.
From the Sales section, select Competitors.
And click again.
Use the New button to open a form.
And you can see that it takes you through again. And this time you're getting used to where you have to click to do a particular process. We now go on to the Test Me videos. This takes it one step further.
Recording competitor details. Start by clicking on the Home button.
This time, although it gives you the instruction, it doesn't show you where to click. So this is now reinforcing to anyone who is doing this process that they have to look and find where they need to click. So if I now click in the right place.
From the Sales section, select Competitors.
If I click in the wrong place, it won't progress. And if I click enough times in the wrong place, it will then tell me where I need to click.
Use the New button to open a form.
Okay, so let's just skip to the end of this process. Okay, once we've been through the Test Me process, it actually gives you a score and shows you if you have passed going through this particular unit. This is really useful for a user because then they can evaluate whether or not they are confident with a process. And if there are elements like here at number 2, where I didn't click in the right place, and it showed me that it actually took me 5 attempts to get to the right place, this will show them that they might need to go back and review this section and have another go at it. So it's a really useful tool. And as I say, all of this comes from just one single creation process. So you get all this variety of resource. Okay, so that is basically our main portal. If you have any questions about anything, if you want to add them into the question window, we will be more than happy to answer them. And then we're going to go on and have a look at the next part of the demonstration.
Great, thanks for that, Jonathan. I think one thing to really reinforce is all of that content and all of the different variations of how we've accessed that content via the portal, the PDF, PowerPoint, and the videos has all been from one single recording that we have done as well. So yeah, multi-format from that sense. It's just something I wanted to reinforce there, but thanks, that was great, Jonathan.
Okay, right. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at another format that this content can be surfaced in, and this takes us right back into the heart of our system. So we've had a look at our help portal through the help button here. If we move down to another level such as accounts, so into one of the entities, two things to sort of look at here. The first is this help button also will now directly take us to account related information because it is context sensitive. So you see there, because I've gone to accounts, it takes us into information about accounts. The other thing that will appear is a button which will appear in the toolbar here or under the ellipsis if the toolbar isn't long enough, and this then opens up our portal first and foremost, but it also brings up our digital assistant here, and the digital assistant works live within the system. If I click on the assistant, firstly you'll see a welcome message, and you can put information in here as to what to do and how to use that digital assistant. For example, using the assistant with everything expanded to full screen for best effect. You also get a list here on the left hand side of all the information that you will also find in the portal. So all of that content is also available with the assistant. And then you've got a search function up the top. So if we go into the search function and search something like contacts, again, that search takes you directly to information relating to contacts. Okay, if I now choose any of these processes, as I click on it, you can see that I get the full process in the window here. So I can follow that process and read it through. But if we then go to Assist Me Now, the assistant actually comes up live in the system and it takes you through that process. So if we go to next, it's giving us our introduction, and now it's telling us exactly where to click. So first we need to click on sales, and we just follow the steps, read the notes, and then follow the steps again. As we go through, if there's information that we need to enter at any point, the digital assistant can help us to do that as well. And it will take us through from start to finish and give us all the help and support we need. And this is really great because if it's late in the evening and there's no one on the support desk, the digital assistant is always there for someone to refer back to. If it's a process that you don't do for 6 months and you're not sure about, then again, you can refer back to the digital assistant. And again, this all comes from that one initial content creation point. If you have any questions about digital assistant, again, pop them into the question window and we will do our best to answer them for you as well.
Perfect. Yeah, for me, the digital assistant is my favorite area of ClickLearn because I'm very much I learn by doing the process, and in terms of kind of saving time doing it within your live instance, that's what the digital assistant is really great for. But also, yeah, as you can see from the other formats, ClickLearn really does cater to all of those learning styles that you can wish to cater for, really.
Absolutely, Jen, absolutely. But there's more as well, because this is also not just about the technology and the ease of this creation, it's about how you then use that for the best effect for your business. And one of the things that you might want to do is not just have a single portal, you might also want to have portals for other reasons as well. So if we have a look at our help and support page here, we have some other ideas for embedded portals. And the first of these is an onboarding and training portal. So if we just bring that one up, you can see similar format, but this time they're termed in terms of exercises. And the way that these are formatted is to give you a scenario-based way of training. And again, this is an adaptation of that initial content. So it's the same content, just adapted to a different view and a different usage. So this time you've got a scenario, tells you what you're doing and who you are within the scenario. And you could use this to be adding information into a test system so people get practice. And again, the way this is set up, if we go down to the bottom of this page, you can see that there's embedded test information so that they can then enter that information and get practice at doing that particular process. Again, you've got your videos, you've got your PDF, Word and PowerPoint documents, and you've got all that resource there for you to use. Another thing you might want to use is, James mentioned earlier that we are an ISV solution provider. If you have additional things like that within your system, you can also embed that content. So we've got here our Paribus interactive content, Paribus 365, and our IntelliCTI support. And I think it's key that, when James said about this being a case study, one of the key things was about the IntelliCTI and the documentation process for that, and making sure that people who use that system have really clear and up-to-date documentation. And this is one of the things that we really put a lot of work into, and it was made so much easier when we use ClickLearn to do this.
Yeah, I can vouch for the onboarding process. For anyone who's worked with telephony systems knows it can be an issue, and to document installation and configuration, and for that onboarding process, it's just removed so many hurdles and made the onboarding process for our own software solution so much easier. So yeah, we can only thank ClickLearn for that.
Okay. Also here we have an advanced help portal as well, and this might be for your super users or your advanced users. And what you can see with this is that it's actually locked down so that it's password protected, and that means that anyone who shouldn't be seeing it can quite easily be restricted and not allowed to enter it. For those people who do want to or should be seeing it, it can be locked down simply for them as well. Okay. So here we go again, we've got more advanced tools, and we've got our customization recordings as well here, and things like system-based information. So again, another use for using your portal. And one thing to add at this point as well is the language capabilities of ClickLearn. I mentioned that it would be able to service the portal in 45 different languages, and you have over 100 digital voices. And those languages, it's very easy to translate your initial content, and then you can service that as part of your portal as well. So here you can see from this drop down at the top, I've got an English, Danish, and Spanish, and even Japanese version of this. And if we click on any of those, it will translate that information. And one more. Okay, so the thing to remember about this as well is it is a general translation tool. It is very, very, very good. But if you want to get it checked, you can simply download the information into a spreadsheet, have a translator check it, then upload those amendments as well. So you don't have to go back and redo anything. You don't have to go back and re-enter information. It is a simple download and upload process. And
again, that translated transcript is from that one single recording.
Again, you don't have to do it over and over. Absolutely. Okay, so that's the second part of our, the third part of our demonstration done. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to add them in, and we will do our best to come back to them and have a little look at them for you.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Jonathan. Okay, so just going to jump back into the presentation quickly. Right, so yeah, so the next part is actually the creation of content. So I think this is one for you as well, Jonathan. So I think we've mentioned a couple of times that it's all from that one single content creation process, but you're probably sat there and asking me, I'm sure it's from one, but how difficult is that process to actually create that content? So we're going to actually show you a video we've put together of how simple the process can be. And Jonathan, if you take it away, please.
Okay, so let's say this is just the basic recording process. And the first thing to remember with the basic recording process is that we start a new recording. We have to choose something called a connector, and we have to choose our language as well. Okay, so when we click on New, we can choose, in this instance, the CRM connector and the English language. And then when we click on Yes, the studio closes itself down and takes us into our dynamic system. And you see a green rectangle appear there around the dashboards. And then everywhere the mouse hovers, you'll see this green rectangle appear. It's at this point that you will click on the screen. And what ClickLearn does when you click on the screen is it records firstly a screenshot of where you're clicking. It records the point at which you click on the screen as well. And it records the information behind that point as well. So it knows which fields you're using, it knows where you're clicking. And so when it comes to actually working with that recording, then you've got all that additional information that ClickLearn has actually recorded. So as we go through here, and we click on account names, and wherever we click, it will record that information. It will take it from drop-down menus and lookup fields. It will take it from other areas of the screen as well. It's very versatile and absolutely brilliant in terms of taking that information and giving it to you to work with later. So if we just follow the process through, it will also record what you're inputting into fields as well. So if it's specific information has to go into specific fields, rather than sort of generic information about a contact or account name, you can also record that and have that in there. Okay, so we've saved our process and we come to the end of our process. It's now time to save the actual ClickLearn recording as well. We press the control keys to do that on the keyboard, and it takes us into the save recording dialog. Give it a name and give it a moment just to save. And then once it's saved, it's available within the studio. Okay, so once it's saved, we can then open up that recording. And what you'll see here is a list on the left-hand side. And these are all our process steps. And on the right-hand side here, you can see as well our initial screenshots, all cropped nicely, all with their little red rectangle to highlight where we've clicked, and our text, which tells us where we've clicked. So this one here knows that we've clicked into the job title field. And this is where then you can add in that additional information. So once you've got your basic recording, you can add in all your context, you can add in all your structure, and you can make it as informative as you wish. Okay, so that's how we create a recording.
Just one quick thing on that, Jonathan. I think it's quite important to emphasise. So this one single recording which you've done here, how many formats of content it's produced? So everything we've gone through previously.
Everything. So it'll be 7 different formats. So all of those different formats from that one recording, and it's a simple process to take you from your initial recording. Once you've added your structure and your content and got it how you want it, then you can then produce it as that portal with all those formats in it.
Fantastic. So yeah, the next part of the presentation, I think you've seen ClickLearn work within Dynamics 365 customer engagement, but a couple of things we've mentioned is obviously it has wide application support and works with a number of solutions. And so far we haven't found an application that it hasn't worked with so far. And just to prove that, really, these are a few examples of some of the wide applications that it supports. And not only it supports, we've actually created some examples for. So if you wanted to go away and have a little bit of a hands-on look yourself, you can do. Firstly, third-party applications. So these are ones which these are our own in-house products which we've created, and we've shown you some of the content for that. Some other business management solutions. So those of you who may know Infor CRM, Salesforce, QuickBooks, these are 3 large players who we again have created live examples for. Not only that, you've probably seen that we were using Google Chrome as the web browser. It doesn't just work in Chrome, although that's our preferred one. It also does work within Firefox and IE. So if you're users of those, we're not missing you. And finally, the much loved Microsoft applications. So all of the Office 365 suite, Business Central, the Power Platform, Teams, all of those. Again, we've actually created content for these, so we've proved that it does work. So the next part is regarding an learning management system, an LMS, and I'm going to hand over to you, Jonathan, to take this one if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, a learning management system is a system of software application for administration, documentation, tracking, reporting, and delivery of educational courses. So what it basically does is it takes learning materials and then you can service those to users, track it and report on it. And this is fantastic when you put it in conjunction with something like ClickLearn. ClickLearn will produce your amazing content, and then you can service that to your users through an LMS and track their progression with that content, and particularly for things like onboarding and training. And we've done a lot of research into learning management systems of late, and the way it works with ClickLearn is that within ClickLearn Studio you can produce your content as something called a SCORM package, and then that can be embedded as a course within an LMS. Out of all the ones we looked at, we have recently started working with a LMS provider called LMS 365. And they are a fantastic partner to be working with because they are very much a Microsoft preferred partner. They are Teams ready, so the content can be serviced through Teams as well. You can access this information on the move, and there's a whole other world of additional ways in which we can service this information. This isn't today about LMS, but we wanted to put it in there because it is an exciting way that ClickLearn content can be offered to users. And it's something that if you're interested in, we will happily chat to you about and talk to you for hours about and give you a demonstration of.
Yeah, a great thing about LMS 365 out of all the ones we found is that they are a Microsoft authorized partner and can be found on AppSource, and also they have some great Power BI reports.
Absolutely.
So if you love your reporting, and that's what a lot of the LMS functionality is for. So if you love your reporting and your Power BI dashboards, yeah, we found them to be great and work really well for us as well. So yeah, quite an exciting space for that really. Perfect. Okay, so just to take a quick step back, you would have noticed this slide. This is the challenges that we initially mentioned at the start of this presentation about the traditional way of support and assistance. So I'm not going to go through them all again for you, but now we've seen the ClickLearn solution demonstration. I think it's fair to say that with the ClickLearn way, support and assistance can truly be revolutionised. So your users are enabled and can find that information immediately. That specialist knowledge can be easily documented and then deployed, and it can be deployed across multi-locations, multi-languages, national and international offices. And it is cost effective on a range of models where you can access the ClickLearn platform.
Okay, same thing with the onboarding and training. With ClickLearn, you can see just how flexible this is with all those different ways in which you can service that information. And yeah, it's the different learning styles will absolutely engage your users in different ways. So no matter how people learn, there is something there. So whether it's doing it within the system with the digital assistant, or whether it is watching and listening, or whether it's reading through information, there's something for everyone there. It's very efficient. If there are changes that need to be made, then those can be serviced to everyone instantly. Yeah, you can update one thing within it, and then that goes out to everyone. You don't have to sit there and redo a whole load of different resources because one simple thing has changed. Very consistent, very standardized, goes out to everyone and meets everybody's needs. Again, multi-location, it doesn't matter where you're in the world, this can happen, and that makes it again much more cost effective than trying to produce labor intensive training or set up site training or face-to-face training.
Perfect. So with that in mind, we just wanted to share a few of the scenarios and the ways, kind of linking back to this being a case study and how we have actually used the ClickLearn platform. So yeah, just a few here to mention, and you can obviously take a look and notice, yeah, that obviously it's 24/7. So if you've got those people working in different time zones or those night owls, then yeah, they are covered for. Classroom training, it's not a thing of the past completely. They will still take place, but you can then have that classroom training material to go to with, and it can be easily documented. And yeah, that product documentation you saw and we discussed with regards to our CTI product, IntelliCTI, how easy that is and how much it's really helped us and given us value. But I think it kind of to mention, there's one key point which we have found through our experience and what has happened since we've used ClickLearn, and that it significantly does reduce the cost while increasing user adoption on new systems faster. So reducing the cost is always something businesses and people are looking to do. We mentioned that the user adoption is, for us, the most important element of the whole of implementing support, assistance, onboarding and training, and it really does have it plays a crucial part, and if you can do that on these new systems faster, it really does make a massive difference. So if you've seen the value as much as us, and I mentioned we'd love for you to take something away from this webinar, and what your next steps would be, and how we can help really. So I mentioned earlier that there is a variety of ways that you can really access ClickLearn, and here are just a few of them really. So you can access them via the portals yourself. If you wanted it on a per user model, purchasing generic content. If you just wanted documents only, that's something you can do just to increase the process and the value of the process there. And there's the authoring service. Jonathan, do you want to mention?
Yeah, so the authoring services. So if you want bespoke content, so we offer obviously our generic content, which is really useful. Sometimes within your system you have customizations, and the bespoke content is something you need much more of. We can author materials that suit your system. What we can also do is give you training as well. So if you end up buying the ClickLearn software, we can actually train your users on the best way to service that authoring themselves.
Perfect. And yeah, we've got some examples, but if you wanted to have a free proof of concept yourself, that is something we offer to see how it will look live within your system. And yeah, if reporting and tracking the progress of your employees or users is important to yourself, we've talked about it working within an LMS, and yeah, LMS 365 along with others it can work with due to how the content is created. So some more next steps for you. I mentioned a couple of times the examples which we've created. If you'd like to get out your phone and take a quick picture of this QR code, it will direct you straight through to our examples page where we have some Microsoft and non-Microsoft applications which we have created content for. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. And if you wanted to go even one step further and you have Microsoft Dynamics 365, we also have an opportunity for you to have an embedded ClickLearn embedded assistance within there. So just a very simple download and process to follow. Again, if you wanted to take a quick picture of the QR code, yeah, we'd be more than happy to allow you to do that by yourself, or if you wanted to use ourselves to give you a hand, yeah, either way is fine with us. So that concludes today's webinar. We'd just like to personally, from myself and Jonathan, thank you for your attendance. I hope that the webinar has really given you an insight into the platform and how you can really implement and revolutionise, online support, assistance, training and onboarding with ClickLearn. If you do have any questions, please do feel free to ask them now into the GoToWebinar question window, and we will look to answer those as we go. But if you wanted to just have a look at some of the content that which we have around ClickLearn as a topic, just search QGate and ClickLearn into Google, Bing, even kind of YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. There should be some great content for you available there. Or if you have any direct questions you wanted to ask me, Jonathan, or one of the team here, you can drop us an email or give us a call. So a couple of questions have rolled in as the demonstration and webinar has taken place, and yeah, we're just going to do a quick Q&A now, so yeah, stick around for it. So the first one, I think as Jonathan is our ClickLearn specialist here, he's probably going to be the best place to answer these. So the first one, can the portal be created to reflect our company branding?
Yes, absolutely. So you can add in your logos, you can add in your color schemes, and you can even, if you have avatars that represent your staff and your users, you can use those as your digital assistants. So there are a multitude of ways that it can reflect your branding.
Oh, brilliant. I didn't know about the avatar. That's great.
Yeah, it's really good, actually.
Cool. Next one, can you use your own voice instead of a digital voice?
Yes is the simple answer. I'm not sure why you would want to when you've got so many options of digital voices, but if you do, then you can certainly put your voice into it instead of one of the digital ones, if that's the way you want to go with it.
Great. We've got a couple more. Just quickly, can you add content to a recording once it has been created?
So yes, going back to what I was saying earlier about having to scrap resources if they have had an amendment to them and having to start from scratch. With ClickLearn, that's not the case. If something changes within your system, then it's a very simple task to use something called the replay function, which means that you can go back through and re-record. But what it does is it does it for you, so you don't actually have to do all of that extra work yourself. Also, you can take a recording and just add a step or add an element or two into it, and you're not then having to start from scratch. So there are different ways that you can do this, and you can certainly do that.
Great. And the final question so far is, how is the finished content hosted or accessed?
So yeah, this has come up before actually. So the portal is accessible through the ClickLearn cloud, and so for us, if we are delivering a per user per month, we will post that that portal through the ClickLearn cloud to make it accessible to your users. And obviously the digital assistant is hosted within your instance of Dynamics, so it's actually embedded as a solution file within Dynamics to give you that assistant function.
Fantastic. Great comprehensive answers there, Jonathan. Brilliant. So yeah, that concludes the questions, unless there are any more to come through. I hope you really enjoyed the session, and just would like to thank you once more for your time today. Please do get in touch with any further questions if you have them after this, after we close the webinar. And yeah, hope to see you again at the next one very soon. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Goodbye.